It's a game changer for social media, and it is something that I think everyone should do and is absolutely worth the investment.
We interrupt this program to bring you this important message. Welcome to Marketing Interruption, a daily podcast powered by BlueTuskr that interrupts your day with marketing news, tips and strategies from an entrepreneur who lives and breathes marketing. Now, let the interruption begin with your host, Andrew Maff.
Hello and welcome to episode number 6 of Marketing Interruption. I'm your host, Andrew Maffetone, and today I'm going to be talking to you about leveraging Facebook and Instagram specifically to gain more sales and more leads. And today I'm going to social media is going to be the theme for the week, which, yay, social media. I know it's overdone, but we're going to talk about it anyway. And today specifically, I'm going to stick to strictly organic. So, and by organic, I mean just posting. I'm not going to talk about any kind of paid advertising with the exclusion of boosting and things like that. But so one of the things I wanted to talk about is something that I've always found is what I've believed to constantly be the missing link between Facebook and Instagram. And a lot of businesses don't do this. In fact, I think there's only been several times where I've started to work with a company and they already had one of these people in place. And it's a game changer for social media, and it is something that I think everyone should do and is absolutely worth the investment if you're doing any kind of additional posting on social media. So the obvious to me is the content. It's not something that, if you're listening to this podcast, chances are you've listened to other marketing podcasts and they're always preaching about the content needs to be quality, so I'm not going to sit here and do that because it's obvious. So obviously, we're assuming that you have some good content that you're putting out. If you don't, UGC is my favorite way to go. So user-generated content, if you can find some content from your customers or from your leads or from past clients or anything. But so we're going to talk about how to leverage the organic posts to actually start to bring in sales and bring in leads, or even just grow your email list in general. So one of the things that I find most people don't do, they get these great content, they post it on social media, they study up on the best times to post, and I should post at this time, and then I should, I gotta wait on Thursdays because my audience is here at this time. And great, you spend all this time making this great content and you just post it out there, and hopefully you respond to all the comments that are being mentioned in whatever post you put out, right? Great, awesome. That is nowhere near enough, and that's not going to drive anything. Imagine you had a Instagram page that's starting literally from zero. You could post every day at the exact perfect time. It's not going to go anywhere. You can leverage hashtags, you can do things like that, and yes, it will help, but it's still going to take a very long time. The biggest thing to me has always been what I have, at least where I work now, we've kind of dubbed community outreach person. So community manager is basically what we've dubbed this role. I outsource it 9 times out of 10 until, at least on an agency side, until we have enough leverage at a company that they agree that, okay, we can bring someone on full time. So essentially, go to Upwork, find, if your audience is English speaking, find someone who's great with English, who knows how to write, and then send them over what I create. What we do is a brand voice guideline. So once you've figured out your brand voice, write out, here's what they would say in this situation, here's what they would say in this situation, here's grammar they would use, here's punctuation they would use, things like that. And so you want to add all that kind of extra stuff in there and send them a brand voice guideline, send them some stuff to test with, like, hey, you're going to want to sound like this. They're going to do strictly outreach. Maybe you'll have them respond to comments and posts on your content that you're actually putting out, but have them strictly do outreach. So if you're on Instagram and you have all these hashtags that you're using, have them go to said hashtags and start a conversation with anyone on their post who are using those hashtags also. It's not someone who goes to the hashtag, goes to the top post, and then goes, hey, great picture with like a thumbs up emoji. That does nothing for anyone. It needs to be a very thought-provoking, well-written comment that clearly states like, I read your post, and not literally states that, but it should say something along those lines of, hey, I read your post. This is great. This is what I think. This is this. That is that. There's no action item. There's no CTA. There's nothing that I'm asking you to do. It's just starting that conversation. People will then get curious and come back to your page. That is the most organic way to get people to come back to your page without doing any of this follow people and then unfollow them, or like every friggin' post that's ever used this specific hashtag. That kind of crap used to work, doesn't really work anymore. Now you got to try harder. Now you have to actually show what you're doing. Facebook's algorithm and Instagram's algorithm is definitely catering towards this. In fact, I think some people get shadow banned now for liking too many things. So you're actually going to want to go out and you're going to want to have a community manager. It is hands down the smartest thing to do, is definitely what I would suggest doing. My favorite way to do it is for when I have someone come in for a new brand, I keep them limited to 10, 15 hours a week, say, hey, let's just see how this goes for a little bit. And then as I start to see results, then we start to improve from there and we start to scale. And that's when you start to bring in someone else, that's when you start to bring in and allow them to bump up to a full-time job, or you bring in someone else, or maybe you then bring it in-house, or obviously things are different now, we're all remote, but you know what I mean. So that would definitely be the top thing I would mention. Now, you're going to want to make sure that they're always very aware of what you have to offer, obviously. So having them DM you, having them comment back, having your community manager then know, okay, we have this blog post that I could send them to help them with this issue they're having. We have this piece of gated content that I could send them to help with this. They need to know the tools that they have around them, and then that's what's bringing in your leads. It's great to have a conversation. It's great to bring in a bunch of followers, and I'm sure eventually they will end up over to your website. But if you're looking for more direct return, you're looking for more results faster, you need to make sure your community manager knows the tools that they have available to them, and then they need to find ways to get them out organically without just shoving them in people's inboxes and be like, hey, you look like you might like this. Like, none of this sales approach. It has to be a very organic. Your community manager is there to provide value for your readers, for your potential followers, and that's it. So consider your social media manager may oversee your community manager and help them understand, like, hey, we're going to do these types of posts this week, and we'll also communicate with them about, like, hey, this landing page is available, or this ebook is now ready, or things like that. But they are a part of the social media team, at least the way that we run it, and it's not someone who basically is scheduling. They're not doing scheduled posts, they're not creating content, they're not doing anything like that. Their sole job is to be on social media all day, or however long you hire them for, to actually start the conversation. That's what will get the ball rolling. That's what's going to bring in more leads, more people who are directly DMing you, more people who are going directly to your website and purchasing. That is what I think is going to be the biggest thing. So that's all I wanted to touch on today. Obviously, I'm going to feature a tool. I use Sprout Social. That's my go-to. I have had many conversations with a lot of social media people over many years about what platform they're using. And there's so many pros and cons, and there's so many of them that it's overwhelming. I personally like Sprout because it's very simple. They have a great listening tool that allows you to kind of see conversations and get into conversations without having to sign in to every platform, especially when you're handling several accounts or several brands over several different accounts. It is a very good platform for if you're a marketer in-house somewhere and you're only responsible for your company's social media, you're not an agency. Depending on the size of your social media and how much work you want to put into it, it's great. It's not the cheapest in comparison to the other platforms. They're very aware of this. It's fantastic for agencies. But if you're really focusing on social media in-house, then it's great, and you will see the return without question. But if you're kind of just like, I'm just going to schedule stuff, and then maybe I'll go hire a community manager and just kind of have them do stuff for a little while, my backup has always been Hootsuite. I've always been a big fan. So I know I kind of featured two there. But anyway, appreciate it. Please rate, review, subscribe. Make sure you send me your questions for any Friday questions that I'll end up going through, or even if I get to them during the week. So send us over anything you have to marketinginterruption@BlueTuskr.com, and I will see you all tomorrow.
Thank you for joining us for today's Marketing Interruption. Make sure to rate, review and subscribe to the show. And don't forget to email marketinginterruption@BlueTuskr.com with any marketing questions you'd like to have answered on the show. And head over to marketinginterruption.bluetuskr.com to catch up on past episodes. Until next time. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming.